Hello. Hello, chat. How are you guys doing today? What's up, Patrick? Hey, Dee Dee. What's up, Nikki? Glad you could join. Hey, DW Sonic. What's up? Hey, 3D McNeedy. Donald Peterson. Yep, you are just in time. How are you doing? How's everyone doing? Hey. Okay. We do have some food. So, okay, today's food is pretty weird. Uh, take a look. Ooh, what is that? It's scallop. I guess it's dried scallop. Yeah, bought this from a Japanese market the other day. It doesn't look that appealing, not gonna lie. But maybe it'll taste better than it looks. Hmm. What's up, Cat Mimics? What do you mimic, Cat? Hey, Drums, Imagine Artist. What's up? Hey, NT. Hey, Katie. Glad you could join. It's 2:33 a.m. for you. Dude, get some sleep. What are you doing? You were just binging my videos. Yeah, it's a lot of videos to binge. Oh, all right, hold on. Okay. All right, I don't feel good about this. I don't know what this tastes like, but we shall see. Dried squid? Well, I like dried squid, but this is like freaking dried scallop. I don't know. I don't know about this. Ew, it's all squishy. Has a fishy type of smell. Take a look. Hey, that. Look at that. All right, let's see. Like a fishy type of smell. Like I'm smelling the sea. Not bad. Not bad. Not good either, but not bad. All right. Okay. Japanese scallops. Not as bad as I thought. Hmm. It's a little too squishy. I expected it to be a little bit like the like dried squid, you know, like a little bit hard, but it's not. It's kind of squishy. I would have liked it to be a little bit tougher. You know what I mean? Is it lagging? Uh, is it lagging? I actually changed something. Let me know if it's lagging. So for the previous videos, I did it at the videos were running at well, my webcam used to be running at 24 FPS, but now I upped it to 30 FPS. Does it look better? Does it look smoother, or is it lagging? I'm using my phone as a webcam, so it's using the internal network to to stream it to my computer. That might make it a little bit more laggy. I don't know. It is lagging. What do you mean by it's lagging? All right, let me. The video is stuttering, but let me change it. Let me change it back to the normal 4 FPS. Hold on. Okay. How about now? Is it okay? Yeah, I don't know if it's salted. It's not that salty. You know what? After the second one, it doesn't taste that bad. I might have another. Ew. Oh, hmm. I might have just acquired this taste. Are you Linfamy? It's pronounced Linfamy, like infamy, like infamy. It rhymes with it. Looking good. Oh, it is better. Oh, shit. Okay, I should keep using this. It would probably be good in a soup or ramen. Maybe. Yeah, maybe I should try that. This was made for eating um by itself, but I don't know. Yeah, try it out. Or it's called like Japanese scallop. Whoa! Thank you, Mira Day. Thanks for the super chat. I really appreciate it. What's up, Nikki? Do I know any Ainu people? No, I don't. Sorry. Yep. I would love to, but I don't. Rate it. So I would rate this as a six. Six. But it's going up to a seven for me. Like after the third scallop, tasting pretty good. Six or seven. Squishiness level. It's not super squishy. Kind of squishy. Also a six or seven. How about that? Yeah, it is gonna give me stinky breath. I kind of smell it right now. I'm gonna burp like during the stream, and I'm gonna smell freaking scallop. Have I watched the anime Mermaid Forest? I have not. What is that about? I don't. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of anime, especially like the new stuff. Yeah, don't really not very familiar with stuff. I've been trying to go over the old stuff, like the old classic anime, which I've never watched before. Like Avatar. I haven't finished Avatar. Yeah, people have been bugging me to watch Avatar. So yeah, I think I'm on the second season. It's pretty good so far. Yeah, but I haven't finished it yet. There are 3 seasons, right? Now it's lagging a little. What the hell? I don't know what to do. Let me check my setting. Yeah, I don't know. Everything seems fine on my end. Oh, I just burped and I smell it. It's a scallop smell. Ew. Oh, I need to finish Avatar. Yeah. Like a million people have told me to finish watching it. You can still hear me fine though audio is so the video is lagging. Yeah, it's fine, whatever. You don't need to see my ugly face anyways. Okay, so let's do this. All right, let's talk about what happened last week. Last chat. Um all right, previous chapter. Uh let's see. The students of Hangshan, they find our hero Ling Hu Chong, right? And they bring him up to the Hangshan mountain to their school, right? Remember, he's the headmaster of the school now. School of nuns, right? It's an all women school, and he's the headmaster of just became. He's not really happy about it. Like he doesn't really want to do it, but he promised the dying sisters before that he would become the headmaster. So here he is, right? He teaches them some advanced moves that he learned from the cave, and it seems to be some pretty advanced moves because the previous heads school, uh, I think they didn't even know those moves. So they want to give him a ceremony to make this position official for everyone. They wanted to invite all of the other headmasters. Although Ling Huchong doesn't really want to, right? He sees it as like kind of a temporary position until he finds a better head, and then he would pass on the headmastership to new person, right? And he's kind of embarrassed that he's the only male in an all male school, right? Of none. So let's see what happened. And monk, no commandments. He comes up to the school with Tianbo Guang, who he presumably subdued, and and they're really good friends. So to lessen his embarrassment, the monk, no commandment, they join. He also joins the Hangshan school, and he joins it with Tianbo Guang, and also the Peach Valley Six Fairies. They also join. So I think that's where we left off. Yeah, it was a pretty uneventful pretty laid back chapter. Hawaii, what's up? What's up, Argo? That's it. Yeah, the recap. How's that? My latest video is doing pretty well, I think. Called Mabiki. Yeah, I don't know when. I don't know when they're gonna demonetize that one. Probably soon. I'm guessing about a week. It's gonna be demonetized. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so my theory is that if a video does well, then YouTube will become more aware of it, and they will scrutinize it more. They will scrutinize it more, right? So, like the video doesn't do well, but it talks about like some touchy subjects, then they don't really care. But if it does really well, YouTube will start looking at it. They'll be like, "Oh no, we don't want to monetize this one." All right, chapter 29, Headmaster, part 2. Okay. We gotta go back a little bit because so Tianbo Guang was telling them a story on how uh, he was telling them a story about how he came to follow the monk no command. Start a little bit before. I've already told you about that before. That day in the courtyard of the Jade House, I fought with that shorty, you. After that, I thought about it and decided that there were too many heroes from the orthodox path for me to stay there for long. So I went north towards Hunan. I'm ashamed to talk about those days. My shortcomings became visible not long after. In Kaifeng Prefecture, I sneaked into the room of a rich family's young lady in the middle of the night. I lifted the mosquito net and extended my hand to cop a feel, but I unexpectedly felt a bald head instead. Ling Huchong laughed and said, "So, to your surprise, she's a nun?" Jianbo Guang smiled bitterly. No, it was a monk. sound effects are too loud. Uh, my voice is a little quiet. Hold up. All right, let me change. Testing, testing, testing. What's going on? How about now? Testing, testing, testing. Did I turn it up? Louder? Hello, 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 hello. Is this good? How's my voice? Is it loud enough? Man, this audio stuff is so weird. How come it was working fine before? Like these days, there are issues. You can hear me? Good, good, yes? Okay. Go with this for a while until someone else complains. Ling Hu Chong laughed loudly. The young lady was inside the quilt sleeping with a monk. Never thought that this young lady would have stolen a man, and the man she'd stolen would be a monk. Tianbo Guang shook his head and said, "That's not it. That monk was Grand Marshal Master. Originally, Grand Marshal Master was looking for me." So I think Grand Marshal Master is the monk, no commandment. When he finally tracked my trail down, he found me at Kaifeng Prefecture. That afternoon, I was spying around that house, and Grand Marshal Master saw me. He guessed that I was up to no good, so he talked to that family and told that young lady to get out of trouble. Then he slept on that bed, waiting for me. Ling Hu Chong laughed. Brother Tiang must have really suffered at this time. Tian Bo Guang smiled bitterly. Does that need saying? When I rubbed Grand Marshal Masters' head, I already knew that something was not right. Then I felt my stomach go numb because he hit my acupoint there. Grand Marshal Master jumped out of the bed and lit a lamp. Then he asked me whether I want to die or live. I know that for my entire life I've been doing evil things, so there would be one day when I'd have a reckoning. So I quickly said, I want to die. Grand Marshal Master thought that this was really strange, so he asked me, why do you want to die? I said, I wasn't being careful and was captured by you. How can I still hope to live? Grand Marshal Master gave me a blank expression and then indignantly said, you said you were captured by me only because you weren't careful. So you are implying that if you were a bit more careful, then I wouldn't be able to capture you? All right. As he said all right, he released my acupoint. Then I sat down and I asked him, what is your order? He said, you have a knife on your belt. How come you're not using it to chop me? You have two legs underneath your body. How come you're not jumping out of the window to escape? I said, I'm a gentleman. How can I act like a shameless nobody? He just laughed loudly and said, you're not a shameless nobody. You already paid respect to my daughter to take her as your master, and yet how come you're disclaiming it? Remember, he was forced to take Yilin as his master. Yeah, ever since that Windows update, the audio has been weird. Okay, so Monk No Commandment was hiding in the bed, expecting this guy to come and cop a feel. And he kind of, yeah, so instead of Instead of feeling up his daughter, this family's daughter, he felt up the monk's head. He answered, "On the top floor of that wine shop, you made a bet with that youngster from Huashan, saying that whoever lost would take my daughter as master. Could it be that it's all fake? I went up to Hangshan to look for my daughter, and she told me everything from the beginning to the end." I said, "So that's how it is. That little nun is your daughter. That's really weird." He asked, "What's weird about that?" Ling Hucheng laughed. "This matter is really quite strange. Other people become a monk after they've gotten a daughter, but Great Master No Commandments became a monk first, before getting a daughter. His Buddhist name is called No Commandment. It means that he won't comply with any rules or commandment." Tianbo Guang said, "That's right. At that time I said, I bet that was only a trick. How could I take it as real? How could you take it as real? You're not wrong that I lost the fight in that bet, so I don't bother your daughter anymore." Grand Marshal Master then said, "That won't do. You already said that you're going to take her as master, so you must take her as your master." "You cannot not take my daughter as a master. I can't let anyone bully my own daughter. I spent a lot of effort to find you. You're very slippery, and if it weren't for you committing these rapes, then it would have been really difficult to capture you." I saw him getting muddled and not speaking clearly, so I quickly used my 3 cloud steps and jumped out of the window. I thought that once I've used my lightness martial arts, Grand Martial Master would definitely not be able to keep up with me. But I was surprised when I heard footsteps behind me, because Grand Martial Master had chased me down. I called out, "Big monk, you didn't kill me just then, so I won't kill you either. If you keep on chasing, then I won't be polite." Grand Marshal Master laughed loudly and said, "How do you become impolite?" I pulled my knife out, turned around, and chopped down on him. But Grand Marshal Master's martial arts was really high. He only used his palms to trade moves with me. I didn't know how to use my fast knife to chop him, and after more than 40 moves, he grabbed the back of my neck and snatched my knife away. Then he asked me, "Give up yet?" I said, "I give up. You can kill me now." He said, "What's the use of killing you? Would it make my daughter alive again?" I was startled, so I asked, "Little Shitai is dead?" He said, "She hasn't died yet, but she's as good as dead. I saw her at Hangshan, and she was so thin that I can even see her bones. I cried when I saw her, and then I slowly asked her what happened. It was you who harmed her." I said, "If you wanted to kill me, then kill me. Tiao Bo Guang is an honest person and would never tell lies. I was rude to your daughter at first, but she was saved by Huashan School's Ling Hu Chong. I didn't violate her. She's still a young lady, as pure as jade." Grand Marshal Master said, "Your granny, what's the use of being pure as jade? My daughter is lovesick. If Ling Hu Chong wouldn't take her as his wife, she wouldn't continue on living." But when I mentioned this to her, my daughter scolded me. She said something like Buddhists cannot have worldly desires. Otherwise, Buddha reproaches them, and when you die, you enter the 18th level of hell. Suddenly, he clutched my neck and scolded me. "Stinky kid, this is all your doing. If you weren't being so rude to my daughter that day, then Ling Hu Chong wouldn't have to come and save her. Then my daughter wouldn't have become that thin." I said, "That's not for certain. Little Shirtai's beauty is like a goddess. Even if I weren't being rude to her that day, Ling Hu Chong would certainly have come up with another reason to approach her." Ling Hu Chong scowled and said, "Brother Tian, what you said was too much." Tian Bo Guang laughed and said, "I'm sorry that it offended you. At that time, the situation was desperate. If I didn't say that, Grand Marshal Master would never have released me." Sure enough, when he heard this, he turned from angry to happy and said, "Thinky kid, think for yourself how many things you have done in your lifetime. If it weren't for the discourteous way you treated my daughter, I would have flattened your head a long time ago." Ling Hucheng felt that this was very odd. He asked, "He's happy that you're being rude to his daughter?" Tianbo Guang answered, "He wasn't being happy, he was praising my foresight." Ling Hucheng couldn't help smiling. Tianbo Guang went on, "Grand Martial Master lifted me in midair with his left hand, while his right hand gave me 17 to 18 whacks on the ear, and I fainted. Then he soaked me in a small brook. When I woke up, he said, 'I'm giving you 1 month to go and invite Ling Hucheng up to Hangshan to see my daughter. Even if he couldn't take her as his wife for now, they can still talk, and that'll be good enough. My daughter's life would be protected then. Your master has a problem, but how come you don't come and help her as her disciple?' Then he poked some of my acupoints and told me that they're the death acupoints. Then he forced me to take some poison, saying that if I managed to invite you to come and see the little Shirtai within the 1 month period, he would give me the medicine. Otherwise, the poison would have come out, and no medicine would have been able to save me." Okay, I think this was the same strategy that the monk used to capture him the first time. Ling Hucheng at last understood. That day, when Tianbo Guang came up to Huashan to invite him to come down the mountain, he kept everything a secret and didn't want to say anything clearly. Ling Hucheng didn't expect that he would actually tell him everything this time. Tianbo Guang continued, "I went up to Huashan to invite you, but I was defeated, and I knew that it would be hard to keep my life further. To my surprise, Grand Martial Master was feeling uneasy." Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, he was telling the story of how he got caught by the monk the first time. Okay. Yeah, that now that makes sense. What's up, Yuhin Tom? Nice of you to join. Yambo Guang continued, "I went up to Huashan to invite you, but I was defeated, and I knew that it would be hard to keep my life further. To my surprise, Grand Martial Master was feeling uneasy. He personally took the little Shirtai to come up to Huashan to look for you. Then he gave me the antidote, and afterwards I also listened to your advice not to do those lecherous things anymore. But Tia Boguang's nature is lascivious, and there are lots of women around, so whenever I have some money, I went to look for some prostitutes, which is not a difficult thing to do. Half a month ago, Grand Martial Master found me again. He said that you were going to become the Hangshan School's headmaster, but other people are ridiculing you behind your back, and your reputation, Jianghu, is being ruined. He loves everything. He loves his daughter, his son-in-law." Ling Wushang scowled and interrupted. "Brother Tian, you must never speak of this nonsense ever again." Okay. He already considers Ling Huchang his daughter-in-law. Yang Bokwang replied, "Yes, yes, I was just repeating what the Grand Martial Master said. He said that he wanted to join Hangshan School and told me to follow his plan. The first step was to accept me as his disciple on behalf of his daughter. I didn't consent to accept me as a disciple on behalf of his daughter. I didn't consent to be this, so he beat me up. I'm not his match, so I also couldn't run away, so I was forced to pay my respect to Master." He said till here when he frowned and his expression turned dark. Ling Huchang said, "You only have to pay your respect to your master. It doesn't mean that you have to become a monk. Well, doesn't Shaolin School have a lot of secular disciples?" Gambo Guang shook his head and answered, "Grand Martial Master had another idea. He said, 'You're such a lecherous person. Once you've entered the Hangshan School, your martial uncles will all be beautiful nuns, so that only this guy would consider nuns beautiful. Will all be beautiful nuns, so that's going to be very inappropriate. The best plan would be to cut out the source of trouble first.'" Then he knocked me down, pulled my pants down, grabbed his knife, and gave me a chop. He cut off half of my thing. Oh shit. That went to a direction that I did not expect. It was a nice and funny story before, but Ling Wu Chong uttered an ah as he was startled by this and shook his head, even though he felt that this was very cruel. He also thought that Jiang Guang had harmed too many women of good families, so it was a deserved retribution. Jiang Guang was also shaking his head before he continued. I fainted immediately. When I woke up, Grand Marshal Master had applied some medicine on me and had also wrapped up my injury. He told me to rest for a few days to recover. Then he forced me to shave my head, become a monk. He gave me a Buddhist name called Cannot Have No Commandment. He said, Since I already chopped your thing, you can't rape anymore. So, of course, there's no need for you to become a monk. But I have made you a monk and gave you the Buddhist name Cannot Have No Commandment, so that everyone will know. That way, Hangzhou School's reputation will also be preserved. Ordinarily, it's inappropriate for people who have become a monk to mix up with nuns. So since your name is Cannot Have No Commandment, then it doesn't matter. Some nuns are pretty hot, to be fair. Wait, which nuns are hot? Do you know any hot nuns? Yeah, the man just got castrated. Well, they said he chopped it halfway, right? So probably, yeah, in the middle. So I guess he has a micro penis now. It's tiny. Does it still work? I don't know. Wait, would it still work if you cut it in half? I would guess so. Yeah. Hey, if anyone in chat knows, let us know. He told the story that he was just castrated, and he told it very nonchalantly. He should be like crying right now. Ling Hu Chong smiled. Yeah, everyone is taking this very lightly. Ling Hu Chong smiled and said, Your Grand Martial Master is very thoughtful. Tian Bo Guang replied, Grand Martial Master wanted me to tell you all about this. He also wants me to ask you not to blame my master. Confused, Ling Hu Chong asked, Why would I want to blame your master? He doesn't know anything about this matter. Tian Bo Guang answered, Grand Marshal Master said, every time he saw my master, he noticed how she became a little thinner and her complexion a little worse. When he asked her about it, she always shed a tear and never said anything. Grand Marshal Master said, It must be you who's bullying her. Ling Hu Chong was alarmed. I didn't. I never talked to your master in an angry manner. Also, she's always so good. Why would I scold her? Why would I scold her? He's Reek from Game of Thrones. Define lecherous. Lecherous like horny, like someone who's very has a high libido. No, he didn't lose. He didn't lose his peanuts. He lost the shaft. He didn't lose the stones. He lost the shaft or half of it. Castration means you cut off the balls, right? Yeah, it doesn't mean the shaft. Am I right? Yeah, yeah, I know what castration means. Tian Bo Guang said, "You never scolded her. That's why she cried." I don't understand. Grand Marshal Master beat me up when I asked him about this too. Ling Huchong scratched his head, thinking that Great Master No Commandments' entangled way of speaking was just like that of the Peach Valley Six Fairies. Tianbo Guang said, Grand Marshal Master said, after he got married to Grand Marshal Mother, they quarreled all the time, and the fiercer the scolding was, the more love there was. You're not scolding my master, so it means that you're not taking my master to be your wife. This, your master is a Buddhist nun. I've never thought of this matter. I also said that. Grand Marshal Master got angry and beat me up. He said my Grand Marshal Mother was originally a nun, and when he wanted to marry her, he became a monk. If Buddhist nuns or monk couldn't get married, how can there be my master in this world? If my master isn't in this world, how can there be me? Remember, whenever he's talking about my master, he means Yi Lin, right? Ling Huchong couldn't help thinking that this was funny. He thought Tianbo Guang was much older compared to little Marshall's sister Yi Lin. How could he mention those two things together? Tianbo Guang went on. Grand Marshal Master also said, if you didn't think of marrying my master, then what are you doing, becoming the Hangshan School's headmaster? He said, there are a lot of nuns in the Hangshan School, but not one can be compared to my master's beauty. If you didn't do it for my master, then for which nun are you doing it for? Ling Wuchang was secretly feeling miserable and couldn't take it anymore. He thought, Great Master No Commandments became a monk so that he could marry a nun. He now thinks that everyone in the world thinks the same way as him. If these words got out, how could it not cause a lot of problems? Tian Guang smiled bitterly. Grand Marshal Master asked me whether my master is the most beautiful woman in the whole world. I answered, she's not the most beautiful, but she's very beautiful. He got angry and punched me, causing two of my teeth to fall off. Then he said, how come she's not the most beautiful? If she weren't beautiful, then why did you have rude intentions towards her on that day? And why did that little kid, Ling Hu Chong, risk his life to save her? I quickly said, most beautiful, most beautiful. How could Grand Marshal Masters' daughter not be the most beautiful woman in the world? When he heard these words, he became very happy and praised my brilliant vision. Ling Huchong smiled. Little Marshal's sister Yi Lin is, of course, very beautiful, but it's no wonder that Great Master No Commandment is proud of her. Tianbo Guang happily said, you agree that my master is beautiful. That's very good then. Why is that good? Grand Marshal Master gave me a task. He wants me to think of a way to call you, call me what? Call you my master husband. Ling Huchang was stupefied. Brother Tian, Great Master No Commandment loves his daughter a lot, but you should already know that this matter is impossible to do. That's true. I said that's really hard to do. I said that you once led a large group of people to attack Shaolin Temple because of the divine sex's young lady Ren. I said, even though young lady Ren's beauty isn't above my master, Master Ling Hu was already predestined to be with her. He's already infatuated with her, and other people wouldn't be able to interfere. Master Ling Hu, in front of Grand Marshal Master, I had no choice but to say this in order to protect my remaining teeth, so I have something to eat with. Please, don't blame me. Of course, I understand. Grand Marshal Master said. He already knows about this, and that is very easy to solve this problem, because all that is required is to think of a way to kill young Lady Ren without you knowing. I quickly said not to do that because if young Lady Ren were killed, then Ling Hu Chong would definitely commit suicide. Grand Marshal Master said, well, what you said was right. If this little kid, Ling Hu Chong, died, then my daughter will be widowed. How can that not be a bad luck? How about this? You talk to this little kid, Ling Hu Chong. Tell him my daughter will marry him and make his second house. Oh, this will be all right. I said, Grand Marshal Master, how can you wrong your daughter like that? He sighed, then said, You don't know. If my daughter couldn't marry Ling Hu Chong, she would die sooner or later. She definitely wouldn't have a long life. He wants him to take his daughter as his second wife. As he said this, his tears flowed down. Aye, this is their father-daughter inborn nature, revealing their true feelings. It couldn't be fake. The two of them were looking at each other, both of them feeling very awkward. Tianbo Guang then said, Master Ling Hu, I've already said everything that Grand Marshal Master wanted me to tell you. I know that some of these are hard to do, even taboo, especially since you're the headmaster of the Hangshan school, but I advise you to speak more to my master and let her be happy. You can deal with this later on. Ling Hu Chong nodded his head and said, All right. In the last few days, every time he had seen Yilin, she seemed to be thinner and thinner. He now knew what it was. He now knew that it was because she was lovesick. Yilin loved him so deeply. How come he didn't know? Really? You didn't know, dude? Oh, I just burped. I smelled the scallop again. But she was a Buddhist nun and still very young, so he expected her feelings would lessen as days passed by and would finally be gone. After meeting her again at Xiangxia mountain range and from Fujian to Jiangsu, he was never alone with her to talk about anything. Ever since he had been on Hengshan, he avoided doing anything that might rouse suspicion. He didn't care if other people slandered his own name, as his name was already not good, but he felt that he must never spoil the clean reputation of the Hangshan school. Besides the time he was imparting the sword art to the Hangshan's female disciples, he never chatted with anyone. Compared to the past days of clowning around, it was very different. As he listened to Tianbo Guang speaking of the past and about Yilin's tender feelings towards him, feelings suddenly burst forth in his heart. He looked up towards the mountain peak where the white snow was accumulating as he pondered. Suddenly, he heard the clamoring sounds of people coming up the mountain path. The mountain summit had always been quiet and peaceful, and there was never people shouting or making noises. He was really astonished when he heard footsteps of several hundred people coming up the mountain. The first person called out, Congratulations, Master Ling Hu! Today is your happy day. This person was short and plump. He was old man. Behind him were Ji Wushi, Zhu Qianju, Huang Boliu, Tima Big, Blue Phoenix, Yo Sun, the bear duo of the northern desert, and many other people who had unexpectedly come here. It's a whole gang. The whole gang of um unorthodox people. Ling Huchong was surprised and happy at the same time. He quickly went forward to welcome them. I received Ding Xianshu Tai's last order, so I must take the leadership of the Hangshan school, but I didn't dare to alarm all the friends here. How come you've all come? These people had once followed Ling Huchong in attacking the Shaolin temple and had gone through life and death battles with him, so they had become friends through trials and tribulations. They came up the mountain one by one and circled him. Old Man said in a loud, clear voice, Everyone heard that Master managed to get Sacred Lady out, and we all felt really happy. This matter of Master taking up the headmaster position of Hangshan School, it was already known in Jianghu for quite a long time. If we didn't come up the mountain today to give our congratulations, then we deserve to die. These heroes were upright and straightforward people. After talking for a short while, they were able to joke around. Ever since he had taken residence on Hangshan, Ling Huchong had only been around a group of nuns and young ladies, so he had so he had to talk with the utmost restriction. Now, suddenly, as he found so many old friends around him, he was extremely happy. Huang Bo Liu said, oh, what's his voice again? We're uninvited guests, so Hongshan School certainly hasn't prepared any food or drink for us. So, we brought food and wine up the mountain. Ling Huchong happily said, That's very good then. He thought, this situation is starting to resemble that big assembly on top of the Five Tyrant Ridge. As they were talking around, a few hundred people had come up the mountain. Ji Wushi smiled and said, Master, we're all people from the same family, so there's no need to be polite. Your educated and cultured female disciples shouldn't come and greet rude people like us, so it's best if we just talk amongst ourselves. Now he found the mountain peak very noisy and lively. Hangshan School certainly didn't expect that so many guests would suddenly turn up to congratulate them, so all of them became excited. There were some old disciples who were more experienced. They saw that the guests who had come to congratulate them were neither fish nor fowl. Even though there were a few well-known heroes, they were all masters from the demonical path. Also, a lot of them were heroes and thieves from the dark path. Hangshan School's rules were strict, and all the disciples guarded themselves strictly. Not only do they have a lot of contact with people from the orthodox path, they also have not paid much attention to them. Unexpectedly, a large group of unorthodox people had come up to the peak today, but they saw their headmaster was holding and pulling on their hands, looking very close and talking to them nicely. My woman's voice is so funny, but also believable. Okay. Someone likes my woman's voice. Someone likes my voice. Someone likes my woman's voice. At noon, several hundred men brought chicken, duck, cow, sheep, wine, and many other dishes to the top of the mountain. Ling Huchong thought, the peak of the mountain is a sacred ground for the goddess of mercy, Guan Yin. I'm the headmaster here, but if we were to eat fish and meat, kill pigs and slaughter sheep, we will be offending the ancestors of the Hangshan school. I would be sorry to let this happen. He immediately told these people to cook the dishes on the mountainside. However, the smell of the wine and meat drifted up to the mountain top, which caused many nuns to secretly scowl. After these heroes cooked their meals, they went to the front of the convent to sit inside the large open area there. Ling Huchong sat on the west side, while the several hundred female disciples sat behind him, according to their seniority. They were waiting until the lucky hour to initiate the taking up the office ceremony. Okay, so this is a ceremony where he becomes the headmaster officially. Yeah. It seems like these people cooking and eating meat stuff is causing at least some of the female disciples to be a little bit annoyed. Whoa, what's up? Whatever, whatever. Thanks for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Suddenly, they heard the sounds of a group of people playing flutes coming nearer. Two old men with green gowns strode up the mountain. The group of heroes uttered "Yi! Ah!" from everywhere, and many people stood up. The old man on the left, the yellow complexion, cried out in a clear voice, Divine Sun Moon Sexes, Chief Dongfang's delegates, Jiabu and Shang Guan Yun, come to congratulate Hero Ling Hu's honor in becoming Hanshan School's headmaster. We wish Hangshan School to be prosperous and Headmaster Ling Hu to be prestigious in Wulin. When he finished his speech, the group of heroes uttered an ah and exploded in cheers. Half of these unorthodox heroes were connected to the Devil sect, and among them there were people who had taken Dongfang Bubai's three-brain corpse pill. So, when they heard the words Chief Dongfang mentioned, they were scared to death. The group of heroes didn't recognize who these two people were, but they had long heard of their name. the person on the left, was called Honorable Yellowface Jiabu. Really? While the one on the right was called Shangguan Yun, with the nickname Eagle Hero. The martial arts of these two people were high. It was said that their martial arts were way above all those of all the headmasters, chiefs, and clan leaders in Wulin. The services and qualifications of these people in the Divine Sun Moon sect weren't extremely impressive, but over the last many years, the sect had undergone a big change. Many older members, such as Xiang Wenxian and others, were removed or went to seclusion. At the present time, Jiabu and Xiang Guanyun were two of the most powerful and first-class figures in the sect, and Ken Bai was giving Ling Huchong a lot of respect by sending the two of them here. Oh my god, Renzo Flutes is in the comments. Says he's coming for me. Oh no, guys. He's gonna tie me up. Ling Huchong went forward to welcome them. Mr. Dongfeng and I have no acquaintance with each other. I don't deserve your two honorable presences. Ling Huchong saw that honorable yellow-faced Jiabu had a thin face resembling a candle, and his two Taiyang acupoints were very pronounced, as if each point had a piece of peach underneath. The eagle hero Shang Guan Yun, with long arms, long legs, and an air of assured authority, had glitteringly bright eyes. These indicated that the two of them had profound internal energy. Jiabu said, "Today is Hero Ling Hu's big day. Chief Dongfeng said that originally he wanted to congratulate you personally, but there are too many matters of the sect that are hindering him. And since there's no way for him to be in two places at once, he asked Headmaster Ling Hu not to blame him." "I wouldn't dare," Ling Huchong replied, while he thought in his heart, "It looks as if Dongfang Bubai is still flourishing, which means Chief Run still hasn't snatched the leadership of the sect yet. I wonder how Chief Run, Brother Xiang, and Ying Ying are doing right now."